You don't need, people think that, oh, you got to have a big budget, you got to have a whole lot of money to have a brand identity. Like, no, you don't. Canva, because a lot of people are like, Canva is free. Like, and I get people like, well, I don't know how to use Canva. You could literally go on Canva, pick a few colors out. And you could write you a text-based logo if you have nothing else. There are ways to simply start things, right? And just
Yeah.
have a foundation. Even if it's not exactly what you want, there are ways to have a start. And then it's like, okay, the goal, because I don't recommend most people when they first start to put all their money into branding, because things change. Sometimes you grow, sometimes your offer might shift depending on your audience, because you might be getting a different audience than you thought you was going to get. I don't necessarily recommend spending all your money in the beginning. Like, establish some things first. So maybe keep it simple first and then get some money and then really invest into your brand. Because the thing about design, and I always tell people, sorry, I feel like I got like a chia seed up here. Anyway, I always tell people, it's just like if you looking for somebody who do hair, you're not gonna go to the first person you see. You should look at people's work before you pick them, right? And so I don't
Mhm.
understand when it comes to design, people don't have that same attitude, because design is subjective.
Welcome to Be Real with Sarah, where the bee may sting and the real never dies. Hey, y'all. We are back with another episode. Welcome to Be Real with Sarah. Y'all already know what I say. Where the bee may sting, but the real never dies. Y'all, we got to make that into a jingle, y'all. Like, it's like a whole song. Y'all. All right. So, y'all know how when we come into our episode, I like to I'm sure by now, if you've been following our journey, we it's a branded thing, right? So we close out with a branding slogan, and then I open up with like this branding identity, because I want y'all to, when you see me, I want to hear you say, keeping it, being real, spreading the honey, being you, where the bee may sing but the real never dies. I want you to identify Be Real with Sarah with that, okay? And so today, because I got to make sure my phone is all lit up, because we have y'all know when we call, we don't say guests around here, we say company. We have company in the room. And the reason why this episode, I'm going to say, is one of those educational, informative episodes, because we have an expert. Our company today is an expert, and I can proudly say, the reason why I'm kind of really getting really excited is because this expert really is a part of our brand identity journey here at Be Real with Sarah, and I'm excited because I've been knowing her for years. We have worked together for years. So I've got to introduce my guest. But before I introduce my guest, let me give you all the little fancy bio, because that's a part of brand identity. But we have Q Mosley. She is a brand identity designer and photographer. Okay. She helps specialize in helping business owners stand out and increase profit. Ching ching, ching ching, through cohesive and professional visual branding. So some of her past clients and employees, Be Real with Sarah and Be the Buzz Agents. I just want to put that number one. Okay. University of Alaska, iHeartMedia, CNN, Pure Red Creative Agency. And that's just really a very small condensed list. I don't know why this bio doesn't have so many other brands that she's worked with, but she's worked with countless of brands. Y'all, let's welcome our company to the hive. Q, come on in.
Hey, girl,
Period.
hey.
Hey, you look so cute.
Thanks, friend. You too.
Thank you for coming on. I told you I was gonna, have you on the podcast. So it's how does it feel as a designer to be on this side?
I don't like talking.
You
So
know.
it's interesting because I spend so much time curating things for other people. So, when it comes to, it's like me, it's like, oh, I can't forget about me. And, like talking about topics like this is part of my brand, right? Because that is part of my mission for my business to, put more content out there, telling people educational things, because that's why we have a lot happening right now. It's a wild, wild west in these design streets, and a lot of it is lack of education. So I do like talking about stuff like this. So I'm excited.
Yes. And you know what? We're gonna hop in. I think the first question I want to, for those that don't know, Q and I have been working together, I want to say at least about 7 years. I believe in partnership, I believe in collaboration, and I think I made like this clarion call to say I was looking for a designer, because I knew that we as an agency, PR agency, branding agency, we needed to connect with, other creatives to help us really, help other clients. And so people tag Q, and we were both starting and building and all the things. And so that's how Q came to be a part. So at this point, y'all, she's family. She branded Be Real with Sarah. We worked together on it. She's brand Be the Buzz agency logo. She brands a lot of our content. So she's family. Okay. So y'all know if y'all like my branding, y'all might as well go ahead and check my girl out. But I want to get into the first thing. You have rebranded your agency, and it's 127. Okay, it was Couture Media as of recent, but also you used to identify yourself as a graphic designer, but now it's brand identity designer. Kind of walk me through why you changed your title.
Well, I guess the thing about me and graphic design, to start from the beginning, is I was never I have a degree in photojournalism, and I kind of fell. I always tell people I fell backwards into design. It was really kind of like a part-time job in college, and it just coincided with what I already knew how to do. I already knew how to use Adobe, So when I was approached to help, run an agency, it was like, okay, sure, I need extra money, but I wasn't really taking it serious, and so I wasn't so focused on it. It's just like, hey, can you make me this thing? You can make that thing? Sure, I can make you this thing. I can make you that thing. And I never really took, and then I had a lot of full-time jobs. I was working at iHeart, I was working at Pure Red for a little bit. And so I never spent enough time to really sit down and be like, okay, so what is it that I want? Because I feel like sometimes we'll get so swept up in what we're doing. It's just like, well, what do you like doing? What are you tired of doing? What have you outgrown? And having a child and, becoming somebody's wife and moving out of Atlanta, a lot of that stuff, I had to sit down. I ain't had no choice. I was living in Alaska for a spell, okay? I had no choice but to sit with the baby and be like, okay, so what I'm gonna do next? Because I'm not the type of person who just gonna sit and be somebody's cute little wife, for a spell. But I was like, okay, I gotta do something. And I still wanted to do what I was doing, but there are certain things that I was like, I don't really like this, but what is it? So I really tapped into, okay, what is it that I really enjoy doing? And I really enjoy working with people like Sarah, people that value their branding, they value their business, they value their visuals. And so I was like, well, I like to build brands, and I would do that at iHeart as well. Work with small businesses who had the money to advertise, but didn't necessarily have their branding together. So they would send us what they had, and we would make it shake. And so I like working with people building logos, but not just making logos and just being like, bye. I like from the ground up. And so that's brand building. So that's why it was like a natural pivot. I could spend more time with people, working and just building better relationships with clients and doing work that I'm like proud of. So that's really the reason for the pivot.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? This is news to me because we never really talked about the whole pivot and the change of identity. And for context, y'all, like I have seen you grow from like being this single person, working out all the time, grinding, doing all the things, and literally like a very quick shift happened in your life where you became a mom, a wife, and you moved to Alaska. So yeah, you didn't have a choice but to kind of sit in, because your whole life rebranded. So you didn't have a choice but to kind of really like, okay, I'm in a different season. But speaking of seasons, we are in a very peculiar season, and I gotta just hit dead on it. How ghetto is it in the design streets? Because we see AI flyers everywhere. So you gotta break it down. Like, how can we coexist? Like how ghetto is it right now in the design streets with AI?
A lot. And I wouldn't even say it's exclusive. I feel like it's like the everything streets, because there's no regulation. And it's like, I feel like small business owners, everyone is going through it in a different way. And it's affecting everybody, because it's like, I just saw somebody saying they're a lawyer, and now they have people, shoving giant transcripts on them instead of listening. You got doctors that's quitting because they got people being like, here's what's wrong with me, fix it. Chat told me this. And I'm sure you have people, hey, here's what we should probably do, but you tell me what you think. It's a lot of that. And so to me, it's like, It's the same different day. It's just taking on a different form. And so I think that there's good and bad to that. At the end of the day, it's going to weed out people who don't value what you do anyway. Right? Because if you're going to come to a doctor with a chat GPT thing, or you're going to come with this flight, then you didn't really value what I was doing in the first place. And you probably really wasn't it. And so it's kind of weeding out the people that's unserious, at least for now. And there are levels to it. There's obviously people that know what they're doing, and it's such a complex issue because you have different types of AI. You got people, everyone uses AI. There's different types, and some are, using it more than others. And so we got to be clear on, what those different types are. But yeah, I know I'm definitely tired of seeing these flyers. They're childish. And I think the main thing is you can't shove a website onto a flyer. That's the main thing I'm seeing. is that a lot of people don't have a
Yeah.
website, or their website is good, or they neglect it. And so everything they're doing, they're shoving every piece of information on the flyer. Number one,
Asian.
no one's reading that. The
Yeah.
icons is just the iconography is just so many icons. And as soon as people see those icons, they immediately tune out because they're like, "Well, you didn't make that." It's just overkill. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of exhausting.
So for the people that are thinking, well, what's wrong with having a chat GPT or Claude or AI? Like, what's really like the downfall or the bad issue with having that flyer? What would you say to them, like from a designing perspective?
I mean, well, aside from the fact, and this is not, I mean, this is the government needs to regulate these things, right? Like, aside from the fact that it's taking up, like, sucking up all of the water, like, very fast. That's like number one. But, if we move step to the side of that, we're just talking about it. I get it. Everybody doesn't have a big budget, but it is concerning with the, now that people are using like AI to do everything. It's not just, again, it's other things like, people can't even send text messages without relying on the chat bot. And it's like, well, what was you doing last week? And you were probably, if you needed a flyer, you
Yeah.
probably made it some kind of last week yourself. It might not have been the greatest, but this ain't good either. So I don't know. It's like we got to
Yeah.
really think about what's the goal here. Because I seen, a lot of people being like, well, I don't see the big deal. Well, I don't see the big deal. I made it and I kept it moving. But it's like, you need to be strategic about what you're doing. What that shows me is that you don't care that much about what you're doing in the first place if you just have this
Yeah.
lackadaisical attitude about it. Because anything you put out promoting your brand is still representing
Yeah.
your brand. A flyer,
Yeah.
any piece of content. Because I know
Yeah.
anybody that really is really invested in their thing, they're not just going to just keep making slop, and at some point not being like, okay, at least let me make it cohesive. And this is why you
Yeah.
got to learn a little bit about branding. Even if that's what you choose to do, you should still know somewhat about branding and just the basics of these things. And this is why I try to talk about these things, because it's like that text hierarchy is something that I talk about in the ebook on my website. Is like text hierarchy. Like, you got a headline, you got date, you got time. You shouldn't make a flyer and put the Emancipation Proclamation on it, right? Ain't nobody reading all of that. And that's like one of the big
Yeah.
problems.
Too much
Just to be,
copy. Yeah.
yeah, you're not getting clients. If your goal is to get somebody to come to your thing, if it's too busy, they're not going to read it. If it's too much copy, they're not going to read it anyway. You know what I mean? Or there's a lot of people who got feelings about using AI in different scenarios. You might lose some people like that. So there's just different things to think about there, to where you might actually be hurting
Absolutely.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the saying is that it's easy by the time you prompt it, it just gets the job done for whatever goal that is. And a lot of the flyers we're seeing is that may be irritating is that they're just trying to get the information out. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not
Right.
necessarily worried about anything else because they're trying to get ticket sales, they're trying to get people in seats in the room. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I think one of our challenges that we spoke about is that there's still no company, organization, brand identity for what you are building. And over time, you need somebody to identify, like with us, Be Real with Sarah, with my branding, I've been very consistent, yellow, black, and white. I've even carried that into my personal branding. So over years, that's what people expect to see, a bee and a
Right.
buzz and a hive. Like, that's just my identity. So what I
Mhm.
think, you tell me, I think over the next few years, like, our companies and organizations or individuals, professionals, are they really going to have a real brand identity now that they've just went straight to AI?
Well, the problem is most of the people that are doing that don't have one, and that's why they don't care, because they didn't really have one to begin with. And you don't need, people think that, oh, you got to have a big budget, you got to have a whole lot of money to have a brand identity. Like, no, you don't. Canva, because a lot of people are like, Canva is free. Like, and I get people like, well, I don't know how to use Canva. You could literally go on Canva, pick a few colors out. You know what I mean? You could write you a text-based logo if you have nothing else. There are ways to simply start things, right? And just
Yeah.
have a foundation, even if it's not exactly what you want. There are ways to have a start, and then it's like, okay, the goal. Because I don't recommend most people when they first start to put all their money into branding, because things change. Sometimes you grow, sometimes your offer might shift depending on your audience, because you might be getting a different audience than you thought you was gonna get. I don't necessarily recommend spending all your money in the beginning. Like, establish some things first. So maybe keep it simple first, and then get some money, and then really invest into your branding when you start to see some money come in, when you get a little bit more stable. But a lot of people put it on the back burner and never go back to it. And so then they never
Go
have a
back.
brand identity.
Yeah.
The more you grow, the harder it is to go back. Because I work with people who have just, like, their big organizations and they might have merch. The merch is all different colors, you know what I mean? Because there's no brand identity. It's like, well, technically this is our color, but you don't know what color that is. So when you go to the printer's giving you 8 shades of green. And so now everybody's got different shades of green, and now it just looks fugazi, and people don't think about that stuff. But it's like it multiplies over time. It's not something you can ignore. You can ignore it for a time, but if you're serious about what you're doing, it's always going to come you in the butt later. So that's why I'm like, you can ignore it if you want to, but if you're serious about what you're doing, eventually you're going to have to find somebody to help advise you, if nothing else, you know?
And you know what? Let's dial it back here. So someone that is a startup, a new business, let's say maybe they're within their first year or two, what are some startup branding items that they should invest in the beginning? And then like, let's prioritize it like, hey, this is very important. And then, hey, I will actually move this on later on.
That's a good idea. I would say a logo. And even if it's just a simple logo. And a lot of people feel like, oh, again, like, oh, I gotta pay this much money. Honestly, sometimes you can find students. You can find, people that are just starting out. Be honest about your budget. First of all, you could look in a group or something. You could find somebody to work with your budget. Just like if I only got this much money to get my hair done, I could probably find somebody to do my hair. I might have to look a little hard,
1000%.
but you need to know when it comes to logos, you need to know what kind of file you need, because you need to be able to own that logo. And a lot of people, if you're making your logos in Canva or if you're making your logos in AI, you cannot legally own that. So again, if you're serious about what you're doing, that's something that's going to bite you in the butt later. So you need to find a designer, even if they're up and coming, that know how to use like Adobe Illustrator. They need to get you a vector. They need to get you an original logo that they made that's not clip art, something that you can have for you. And again, you don't necessarily have to spend a whole lot of money on that. You just got to find somebody who knows the right software and knows what they're doing. But a lot of people don't understand that part. So that's how they get scammed, right? So I would definitely say logo. You could do like a little 1-page style guide, literally with just colors, fonts, and some imagery. Like, here's what we look like, stock photos. And that's another thing AI is demolishing, is stock photos. And I feel bad because there are like no good stock photos of Black people. So I get it to an extent, but another thing to your point that I recommend is brand photography. And again, it doesn't have to be a whole ton of money. I have a photography degree, and all you need is window light, and iPhones take great pictures. If you don't got nothing else, take your tripod, get next to the window, take some pictures. That is better than the AI and you having 8 fingers. Like, I promise you. And you could start with something like that. Just the pictures, you need your vector, your logo, and you need it done, correctly. Preferably in Adobe Illustrator. And, like a style guide. So you know which colors you're using. You need your Pantone colors. So if you go to the printer and they're asking you what colors, you could tell them which colors will a print situation, so you're not getting all these different shades. And those are kind of just the main like foundational things that you can start with. You need to, before you do any of that, you got to know your vision, your mission, because that's going to guide everything that you're doing. A lot of people, I don't think, start there. They just get excited and they start doing stuff. And that's how you get the slop. That's how you get the bad looking stuff, just stuff. And I tell people, stop just making stuff, whether it's AI or Canva stuff. Like, who are you? What do you look like? You know what you look like. If we see, we looking in the background, we see the hive back there, the logo, the beat, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be some yellow. We already know that's you. And over time, it just takes time, and people don't have patience. That's really what it all boils down to. It takes time, it takes money, it takes patience.
It does. And something I've learned too, finding a designer for different things that you're working on too, and building relationships with them. We've talked about this. One thing I love about Q is that we work with corporate projects, and there are some designers that would not be able to work with some of the corporate clients. They don't have the knowledge as it relates to, they just know how to design. Like, and that's it. Adobe, Canva, they can switch, they can hold classes and things. But when it comes to working with, as you know, corporations, they need to print. They have like banners and all the different things. And also, I think for people, they need to know different types of designers possibly for different projects. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because the thing about design, and I always tell people, sorry, I feel like I got like a chia seed up here. Anyway, I always tell people, It's just like if you looking for somebody who do hair, you're not gonna go to the first person you see. You're gonna look like, can I see more pictures of your work? You should be able. Well, you should. Some people do that, but you should look at people's work before you pick them, right? And so I don't understand when it comes to design, people don't have that same attitude because design is subjective. And when I was young and I might work with somebody and maybe the project didn't work out, I used to take it so personal. Like I used to be like, oh my God, I'm not good at what I do. I'm gonna stop telling people I do this. And it's like, it's art. It's literally subjective. And so different people do different work and they, you know what I'm saying? And so when she's like you said, you build relationships, it's like, okay, this person, they probably be better for this type of project, this person be better for this type of project. And so as a designer, it's good for me to know other designers because I already know if somebody tell me something, I'll be like, this seemed like it's your vibe, it wasn't chia seed. I don't know.
There was a chia seed. She eat healthy this morning.
But yeah, so to your point, because I think at least for me, again, when I first started, it was something that I used to kind of take a little personal, but it's not a personal thing. Everybody's different. And so if you're looking for a designer, one of the things you should ask is like, can I see your portfolio? Can I see examples of your past work? And that's a good way to tell like, oh, okay, it should all kind of somewhat look the same. And then you should get like a vibe of like, oh, I like this. And it's like, well, what's your brand look like? This will work well for my brand, or this, I could see them doing something for me. But to just hire somebody because they say they know what they're doing is crazy. But people do that every day and then be like, oh, they scared me. You gotta
find the right. Yeah, no, you got to find the right vendor. You got to find the right vendor. If you are a business owner and you believe that over time you are going to do quite a bit of banners, a lot of printing, you're going to do expos, those marketplace type of activities, I would definitely suggest building with a graphic designer that knows how to design for that. And Q and I have this open relationship where we'll have like faith-based minister type of clients. And so we have we work with designers that work heavy in that space. So they pretty much know the flow and work with similar clients. And then when it comes to our corporate or other type of clients, I'm like, hey Q, we got this going on. She knows the language and we just have a relationship. So I think a part of business too, if you can, find a designer you can grow with, like to your point, about finding a student budget, because, and this is something I want to hop into as well, is budget. What is a budget that maybe somebody should have with a website or logo, like, because people get they get sticker shock. I remember when we rebranded our website, our logo. No, when we rebranded, it cost quite a bit. It cost quite a bit to get the logo remade, the photos, the website. So it's pricey. But from your eyes, what do you think are the ranges for branding or rebranding for small business owners now?
And that's tough to give a range because everyone's different, right? Everyone is different. Everyone's business is different. Everybody's stage of business is different. So I can't say, you need this much money because like, depending on where you are, that might be really low or it might be really high for you. But I feel like you should have a marketing budget. And I think a lot of people don't have a marketing budget, right? Like if you need to have a marketing budget, period. And it shouldn't be like $20 a month. Like it should be reasonable, and it shouldn't be. And even if it's something that, especially like you said, if you're doing a big project, you need to rebrand, you need to be like, you need to not neglect it. And I think that's the thing that people do. They neglect it, or they give it just like peanuts. And it's like, when you do, I tell everybody this, if you're working on a rebrand or branding and you do it right and you find good vendors, it's not something that you have to keep doing. It's an investment. It's literally an investment. And that's not just like a buzzword to get you to, it's an investment because it's not a reoccurring cost. Like once you do it, it's like, okay, you're set. You got your logo. You're not going to have to keep paying for this. You pay for it. You're done paying for it. And that's going to make you money like hand over foot. As long as you're pushing it, that's going to make you money for a long time. And so these are things that are literal investments. Like I don't have to pay nobody every month. And like website hosting, sure. But for the most part, once you pay for some photos, for a logo, you don't have to keep paying for it. So focus on, making. But you have to budget for that, and you have to have a budget for it. And you have to set aside money because then you need marketing. These are things in the Black. I feel like in the Black community, we neglect marketing, we neglect PR, we neglect things that we need, and then why your business can only go so far. So it's hard for me to say an exact budget, but my advice is to have one and to not neglect it. To have one, have a marketing budget, because there's people who probably don't have no marketing budget at all. They don't even, it's not even a thought in their mind, especially now with AI. It's just get AI to do. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. You don't even look like a real business if everything you do is AI. Like you literally could be a scam.
AI.
You
You could
might
be
be
a
a scammer.
scammer.
Scam anyway.
Yeah.
They without
Insert
AI.
the
So
song.
everything AI, food, everything AI. Like, are you a real person? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's a real thing. That's a real thing
Yeah.
because there are AI businesses. I would say, yes, definitely have a budget. I would
Mhm.
market it, or I would budget it under like content marketing. And
Yeah.
I would suggest a few $100s a month. Just because if you can possibly
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
because the graphics can, I'm seeing, and everybody's budget different. I know a designer, he works with all these big names and stuff like that. He'll charge upward of like 700, $100,
Mhm.
a flyer, graphic. It depends. But,
Mhm.
usually, you can find designers with bundle deals, and hey, I'll do 5 for this amount. But you can't afford it if you don't at least allot, like, hey, this month, y'all, we're gonna allot $500 for
Mhm.
marketing or content marketing, whether that's photography, videography, or whatever you may. So I think a big part of what we're saying too, if you have a
Yeah.
relationship with a designer, you
Mhm.
can build
Yeah.
a relationship and say, hey, can we figure out a partnership where you make so many graphics per month, for this is the budget I'm allotting for this quarter. I
Mhm.
believe in close mouths don't get fed. I'll tell Q in a heartbeat, like, hey, this is the budget that we have. I pretty much know Q's rates. I said, okay, I'm trying to get close to it as much as possible, but this is our client budget. Or Q
Mhm.
knows this. I can meet the budget. I'm like, oh, we got it. So,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
that's obviously a relationship, friendship, and did life together these past 7 years.
Mhm.
So I would definitely,
Mhm.
that's one of my suggestions. But also I wanted to ask you too. I had sent you a post not too long ago about a designer. I think we talked about it a little bit, and so you know. For the past year, we're seeing entrepreneurs and business owners go back to work because
Mhm.
it's not, the income is not incoming like that 2020 to 2022. Are you
Yeah.
hearing in the designer streets that they're like, AI is kind of really killing my business. Business is slow. I'm going back to work. Like, what are you kind of seeing?
Mhm. I've seen, I've seen it again. I've seen it, it's kind of chomping at a lot of different people's jobs at this point. It's hurting a lot of different industries, but it's helping in different ways. And so that's another reason I kind of wanted to pivot, because it's like, yeah, I can make things all day long. I can make you this thing, I can make you that thing. But I didn't want nobody to come for me for things. Like I've been doing this for a long time, a lot longer than I guess I give myself credit for, to where, like you said, I'm an expert. I know what I'm doing. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. And so that's why I wanted to pivot. At least for me, I'm like, this makes more sense, and I think this has more longevity as a career versus just being like, I'm a graphic designer. Whereas a graphic designer
Mm,
might be a little bit more easily replaceable than somebody with more expertise about like the overarching branding as a whole. And I have, my MBA in marketing, and I have, all of the experience that I have. So it speaks to that. So for me, that's why I pivoted. And yeah, I have seen people that, yeah, they may have been freelancing a lot, and they're like, yeah, I'm cool on that. I'm gonna do this. And as somebody who had a job for a long time and was just also doing this, I understand. I get it. Ain't nothing like having two checks. Ain't nothing wrong with it if you
mm,
can make it work. I'm not one of the people, that's just like super on one side or the other. You got to do what works best for you. But yeah, I've seen it. I've definitely seen some of the chatter here and there, but I think there's always going to be a need for just that expertise, because it's like it's making things, but it's not going to give you the direction. It's just making you think. And if
yes.
you don't have that knowledge, and if you don't have the direction, you just keep making stuff. You don't know whether it's right, whether it's wrong, how to fix it, what should I be doing. And you're starting to see this as
Mm,
people need printing. Like I'm pretty well versed in print, making things, huge things, little print things. I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to print, but you got a lot of people that's trying to make everything on chat, making things in, whatever,
yeah.
generative AI, sending it straight to the printer. And the printer is like, girl, what I'm gonna do with this? But if you don't understand, bleed, if you don't understand color space, if you don't understand sizing, is what I see. I see a lot of people make a lot of things on, Gen AI, but if they don't know any of that, like they'll come to me and be like, hey, I need this billboard, or hey, can you make a poster? When it's just like, you could technically do that on there, I guess, but I don't know. Then they're all different, but then you
Yeah.
need PDF.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need layered files. It depends on what you're making, but you're not going to get that from most of these things, especially if you're not paying
Jennifer,
premium,
yeah.
which we know a lot of people is not paying premium AI because they trying to do it for cheap. So it's like,
Yeah.
you still end up in the
Yeah.
same situation. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
it's funny, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot of shifting. It's interesting. But I just feel like it's a little too good to be true. And eventually I think we're gonna kind of see the bubble pop to where it's like, eventually this is probably gonna like only be accessible to certain
Yeah.
people. Like, oh, could be
It's a
wrong. We'll see
trend.
what happens.
It's a trend
Yeah.
right now. Like it's a trend. If you got an AI flyer, it's like it's a trend. Like it's still, and surprisingly it's still gravitating people right now. Like cuz it's just getting the information out. It's a good time. But it is a trend, and I wanted to hit on like a year from now, where do you really see this going from your eyes, your lens, your expertise? Where do you, cuz I see it, to your point, like I don't think it's going to be a trend like this next year. That's
I
just me.
mean, to me, the trend of, there's always going to be some people that's treating their business like a hobby, and there's always going to be some people that's treating it like serious. And I feel like if you're serious, the serious is always going to prevail when it comes to actually investing and, really cementing those brand identities with the real software versus just making stuff, making stuff, making stuff. And I think people do that because they get excited, because I make stuff for people's business for a
Yeah.
living, and when people see stuff, they just get excited. It's exciting, like, oh.
Yeah.
And so to be able to make something, and it's just like, whoa, I made something. People are just like, well,
Yeah.
that's something. And then you got people being like, oh, but that's ugly, but they are like, I don't care. They're just excited because it's their stuff.
Mhm.
But is it
Mhm.
your stuff if it looks like everybody else's stuff? So it's like you gotta think about it. It's like, well, you still don't look like anybody. You still just, it's just stuff happening. So at the end of the day, you just really got to figure out what it is that you look like and invest in that. Even if, you kind of come up with your own like way of how that's gonna look. Like, hey, I really like this shade of blue. I really like this image. You could have an idea of it, and then like Sarah said, set aside some money. Even if you only have enough money, $50 a month, $100 a month, whatever. Set aside some money until you can find a designer. You can be somebody's budget. Because your brand. If you put so much time and energy in your brand, you want it to look as good as it actually is. Because if it doesn't, you know you're not gonna
Yeah.
get the people that you want. Like, you want to attract those people, and people are visual. That's why people have these opinions on these flyers, because they hate them. People are visual, and they see
Yeah.
stuff quick, and they judge whether they like it, whether they dislike it. Like, you really have 2 seconds to catch people's attention when it comes to that stuff. And people are they're just becoming blind to that. It's
Right.
starting to look nothing to them. So it'll be interesting to see how it pivots. I think the software will get better. I think it'll continue to hopefully get better, but you also have to have a good prompt. Again, and if you don't know what you're doing, your prompt gonna be trash. So I'll be curious to see.
Yeah.
I think
You do
it'll
have to have a good
improve.
prompt.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll be affordable for everybody because this is America. Like, why would it be?
Mhm.
I'm
Why would it
curious
be?
to see.
No, for real. That's why I was like, yeah, it's definitely not gonna be a, because it's so easy. Like,
Mhm,
throw me a flyer. This is what I got going on. Put
mhm,
people in. It's a party. Like, it's just not that trend of it, because of the accessibility is what you're saying. I don't think that it'll be that. You gotta pay. You gotta pay to play in America.
mhm,
What I would say, AI, at this point, lacks a certain level of execution that you need to thrive as a business. So you can
mhm,
get direction, you can get a pitch and a press release or whatever off, or a graphic off of ChatGPT or Claude. But
yeah,
ChatGPT, Claude cannot build a relationship with a journalist, cannot build a relationship with a designer, cannot print for
mm-mm,
you. Like, you have to just really hone down and say, I can even respect a business that says, you know what, some things we'll do AI, sure, whatever. But this other part, we're gonna bring an actual expert like Q or Sarah, and
mhm,
let's see how we can
yeah,
coexist both of the roles. We can
yeah,
thrive, or we can work in an environment like that. But the moment you decide you want full AI, or you are literally, I feel like you're cheating yourself as a
mhm,
business, and you're cheating the progression of your business. So that's my
mhm.
thoughts on it.
It
So
is. It's not. I mean, I feel like part of being an entrepreneur is like fulfilling. Like doing that work and making it make sense. Like, because there are certain things. It's like, why not make your life easier? I get that, and I get what people are saying to an extent. Like, well, why should I be
mhm.
working on this? I want to hang out with my family, and it's like, there are some things, again, if you care about your business, you're not going to like 100% automate it. If you care, some people don't care. Some people just trying to make money. Cool. But a lot of people claim, especially I feel like Black entrepreneurs, we treat businesses like it's our baby, it's our this, it's our that. And then why are you like never with it? Like it's always
Yeah.
with the babysitter, like 24/7.
Yeah.
And this is random. I'm going backward. But earlier, because you were talking, we were talking about AI and what do I think? I was thinking about this the other day. And I'm like, do you remember when Lyft and Uber were new? Like kind of new. And it would be like $5. You know what I'm saying? I go on a trip and it'd be like $10. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like call Uber
Yeah.
right now. Tell me how much it costs. Right? Like we know
Oh,
how
yeah.
technology, it's America. So over time, I'm not saying it's not going to exist, but you know, there's definitely going to be a shift. It's a catch because they get you dependent. And I just seen somebody else talking about this. So they get you dependent on these things, right? Just like, oh, you feel like you gotta Uber, you gotta Lyft, you gotta do that, you gotta do that. I mean, it's like, oh, it's $100 for me to go 2 miles down the street. But they make you feel like you gotta have these things. And I feel like that's kind of why it's so easy to just do. And then eventually it's gonna be like, all right, that's gonna be, and you're gonna be paying more than you was probably paying a designer anyway. Or paying more than you professional anyway, because they want you dependent on this, you know, like crack in the 80s. So, you know, that's why you don't want to get too dependent on anything outside your brain, okay? Stay woke.
That's good. That's good. She said they have you dependent. That's true. Have you dependent on like you really just gotta have and gotta need and can't. I think we're at a point we can't even think without it. Like you said, because I'm guilty. I would get on chat and talk to chat about some stuff. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'm scared. Like, girl, I don't know you like that. Like, I'll do it for, you know, sometimes like business related things. Maybe every once in a while, maybe a recipe. But I try not to just live on it because I'm scared.
I'm scared.
I don't know. iRobot. In the back of my mind. Oh no.
I didn't even watch that. What happened in that movie?
Have you seen those robots that they keep putting in like, you know, different countries and the robots like break dancing and stuff? They look, to me, it looked like that robot. But basically the robots, you know, they turn on Will Smith. Okay. They supposed to be like, you know, a band and they turn on him and they trying to like take over the world. So, but you know, that's I'm pretty sure I believe that's a remake of an old movie, I think. But anyway, yeah, don't watch it now. You won't talk to chat no more.
There's another. You know they have a robot now. They have you can buy one for $20,000 or something like that, and he'll fold your clothes.
See, it's just fold your own clothes. Some stuff just be like, or hire somebody to fold your clothes if that's the case. Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, for real. You know, I saw it on like I don't know, Spiritual Word. And it's like he literally is walking and he does your, you know, all your housework and 20,000. I want to say.
I don't know. I don't trust some stuff. It's another movie you should watch called Her. It's a weird movie. You should watch that movie.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that. It's about robots.
Well, it's basically about this man who falls in love with like his little AI. This movie came out like maybe 10 years ago, maybe something like that. I want to say it's not like AI, it's like an Alexa type of thing, but it's the same concept. But yeah, he basically like falls in love with it. And I remember at the time everybody was just like, "This movie's crazy," and I'm like, now literally that's what y'all doing every day.
Oh no!
It's a good movie. It was a good movie though, but too close to home.
Definitely too close to home. 10 years later, movies be really telling us what our future gonna look like. I feel like Hollywood know before we know.
Oh, they definitely.
They definitely know, and AI is all in Hollywood. Like we see it all the time. It's other fancier terms. I can't think of the names, but like the backgrounds and things that we see, it's everywhere. It's definitely not going anywhere, and I think it can coexist. But just don't forget the expert. Don't forget the actual human that can really do it. That went to school, like girls, because baby, you got a photojournalism degree. We got MBA marketing from Middle Tennessee State University. Like my girl is degreed and experienced. Don't play with her. Don't play with her. So I think this was informative. I mean, obviously we're in Q3 of the 2026. So as we are ending the year, what are some things that you think right now business owners can think about for 2027 branding? Kind of drop some gems for them. Because, I don't know.
That's
I just asked you.
well, I'm trying to think, that's a good question because it's like, what is it? Dang, it's August. I would say, now is definitely a good time to, start thinking about what you're going to do, like how you're going to roll out the rest of the first of next year. Because August, we're not too far away from the holidays, right? People want to get busy during the holidays, hang out with their family. Ideally, you should start structuring these plans now. So that means if you need to have like a photo shoot, you should be scheduling these things now. If you need to be doing some work on your website, if you need to hire somebody to help you roll out something that's supposed to take place at the top of the year, even thinking about your content for next year, you could start batching content for next year. Like there's a lot of things you could plan to just make it a lot of stress free by the time you get
Yeah.
to
Oh,
January.
I agree.
And even if depending on your business, if you're like a product business and you want to do like some holiday promos, now is a good time to start thinking about that. I mean, technically you should have been thinking about that earlier, but if you're a small business, we give you grace. You still have time to start thinking about like holiday promotions. And I'm sorry, what was your original question? What's small businesses? Something that I want to do. You like small business, what they can do to
That's horrible that I forgot. What they can do,
I answered.
what they can do top of next year. Like, I don't know. Just finish your
No,
question. I don't know how I forgot.
that's what you said. No, but now I just changed it up. I just stole it anyway. Well, something that I would like to do, depending on what kind of business you're in, it can be nice to send out holiday cards to your clients. That's a good branding thing, and we're talking about relationship building, right? And so that's something that
Mhm.
maybe in the past I'm like, oh, I don't necessarily have enough money to do that, but like now I'm kind of like, oh, okay, that would be like a cute idea. Like for some of my bigger clients, like maybe sending them a thing, sending them a physical item. Thank you for I value our relationship. It's just a nice little gesture, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be a T-shirt, it could be a
Mhm.
mug. That's just a good way to help build those relationships because that's what I'm learning in this stage of my business. I used to hate going to networking stuff. I used to hate talking about my business. I used to hate
Yeah.
like talking try to hide, but you cannot grow a business and hide. Like you got to put yourself out
Mhm.
there. And so definitely trying to do more of the things. And that is one of the ways. Also, I'm trying to do my business, do more physical items, like design and just put more physical
Yeah.
items on my store. Cause that is
Yeah.
a way to kind of back all of this, like, oh, only designers, like, well, physical things, people love stuff and that ain't going nowhere. So, I'm definitely doing
Yeah.
more, like, making more things, designing clothes, designing banners, signs, things like that. So leaning more into that is helpful too.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm actually, when you said website, I was like, oh, I said she's already in the vein because I'm going to be sending Q an email about redesigning our website. Not redesigning, but like, yeah,
Little tweak.
designing, well, refreshing it, like just updated photos. We got some new
Yeah, yeah.
information. Things have changed. I think it's a great time. So even on the PR marketing side, we actually encourage people to start, you know, having these conversations with us between August to October on their launch
Mhm.
plans for Q1 and even Q2, and think about what you're going to do, ahead of time, because it's budget. There's scheduling. With holidays, y'all get super busy. A lot of times that's y'all's Super Bowl season. Then there's travel, again, holidays, events, and parties. So this is a really good time to think ahead, think about,
Mhm.
you know what, we're having this in March. If you're having something in March, you should have already been conversing about it by now. But if not, it's time to
Yeah,
go ahead and get that branding together, marketing, that planning, so that, because those
yeah,
last 30, 60, 90 days, you're trying to maybe fill seats in, and you're trying to go hard, but you got to have your assets. You got to have your
yeah.
assets. So I think that's
You got
good.
yes, yes. You have to have that. Those physical assets be the ones costing the most money, and a lot of people wait till the last minute to try to get things printed and all of that stuff. And that you need that time to have things processed and printed, especially like very large things. So yes, events. Yeah, you got to give yourself a lot of time if you want to make it like a success, like a visual success. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. That's
I
good
agree.
advice.
I agree. No. we're on the same page. So we think the same. We work in this around the
Mhm.
same, timelines
Mhm.
and people and all the things. So I think this
Yeah.
was great. You did amazing. You educated the people, that got them thinking. Some of our audience, they're still going to use Chatty. And hey, I'm not against you using Chatty, but all I can say is call on the expert, reach out to the experts, get some type of brand cohesiveness so that when I encounter your brand, I know, oh, okay, that's X, Y, and Z cake, bakery or whatever.
Mhm.
That's what I want to know. Brand identity from our brand
Yeah.
identity designer.
Especially if it's a large scale project you spend a lot of money on. Don't spend a lot of money on something and then make every graphic in chat because they don't go together. Like make it make sense also. You got a little we closed today, make a chat file for that. Just make it make sense. But yes,
Make it make
correct.
sense.
Everything
Make
you
it make
said.
sense.
Thank you for
Yep,
having
she
me.
did that. You did amazing, y'all. We gotta give it up for Q. I'm not selfish. I say, hey, you need a designer. Definitely make sure you check out my girl. This is who, like I said, have built the branding of Sarah, the agency, and I'm sticking beside her. But no, thank you, Q. You're amazing.
I
But y'all know what
appreciate
we do here. My goal with the podcast, obviously, is for you guys to go from stuck to momentum and to have movement. We have to be flexible. We have to be open in our perspectives. And I believe that in a time that we're in, I as an agency, I actually use AI, because AI is everywhere. Like we cannot avoid it. We have AI on our phones. You be online. It's the chatbots talking to you. And actually, AI is actually not new. That's number one. It's not new. But I thought it was important to bring an expert on just to show you the importance as you are building your business, as you are building your whether it's your professional brand, your personal brand, that bringing an expert, find out, okay, how can AI coexist with with branding, but also get with somebody that you can build a relationship. I think relationships are so very important. All right, so I'm gonna stop kind of chatting a little bit right there. I'm gonna let y'all kind of marinate on that. Let me know in the comments what y'all think, how y'all felt about this episode. I love to try to inform and educate you. But y'all know what I tell y'all all the time. Make sure that you always be real, that you spread the honey and be you. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.